Stone, and for this round of the F1 Bake Off Challenge, I've decided to make the quintessentially English cake, Victoria Sponge. Let's get cooking! The first thing you need to do is to grease and flour two 8-inch sandwich tins and turn the oven on. The oven needs to go on to 180 degrees centigrade, which is 160 fan or gas mark 4. There are lots of different Victoria Sponge recipes. You can make the cake all in one, or you can do it in separate stages, which is the way I'm going to do it here. The first thing you need to do is put an empty bowl on some scales, and then place in the bowl 4 unbroken medium eggs. You need to take a note of how much they weigh, and then into a separate bowl you need to measure out the exact same weight in self-raising flour. Take another bowl and again into this new clean bowl measure out the weight of the eggs in butter and sugar. As for the eggs, break them into a jug with 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract and beat up. Once everything's weighed out, you can get cooking. Take your electric whisk or your food processor if you have one and whisk up the butter and the sugar. After a good 5 minutes of mixing, your mixture will take on a creamy appearance and become a lot paler in colour. When it reaches this stage, you can start adding the egg. You just pour a little in at a time and then whisk up. When all of the eggs have been added, you can start adding the flour. You need to sprinkle in a little bit of flour and then take a big metal spoon and fold the mixture in. Keep doing this until all the flour has been used. When all the flour is added, start dividing the mixture into your 2 cake tins. Once all the mixture is in the cake tins, it's time to pop them in the oven. They need to go into the oven for between 25 and 35 minutes. I'd suggest putting them in for 25 minutes, seeing if they're cooked, and if they're not, pop them in for another couple of minutes and do it like that. If you want to be really retro and remember licking the spoon when your mum used to bake cakes before all the egg scandals, then now's your chance. When the cakes are cooked, take a knife and go round the edge of the tin and then leave them to cool in the tins for a couple of minutes before turning them onto a wire rack to cool completely. While the cakes are cooling, it's time to decide how you'd like to fill the cakes. The most simplest of a Victoria Sponge just involves putting jam in the middle and sprinkling icing sugar over the top. You can also add whipped cream into the middle, or if you'd like, you can add a buttercream. For this recipe, I'm going to add jam into the middle with some vanilla buttercream. So let's make the icing. To make enough butter icing to ice just the inside of the cake, into a bowl you need to add 65 grams of butter, 30 millilitres of milk, half a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 250 grams of icing sugar. And then all you need to do is mix it up. The finished icing should neither be too runny nor too thick. It should just be the right consistency. So if you take a little bit on your finger, it should look a bit like that. Then of course you can't actually put it back in the icing, so oops, you're just going to have to try it. So all that's left to do is to make up the Victoria sandwich. So you put jam on one side of your cake, icing on the other side of the cake, and put the 2 halves together. All that's left to do now is sprinkle the top with some icing sugar, cut it up and eat it.